m.reck TV.
First and foremost, ladies and gentlemen, y'all know how we do. The unsung heroes, myself, DJ Moeskieno, DJ Superior, and m.reck. M.reck is on the roll right now. Big shout out to m.reck TV. And we have an amazing guest today, an amazing, wonderful guest today. And we wanted to bring her on to share this the story and give some detail about life and how to pursue life and walk through this journey. So this young lady that I have today is Keyonna Monroe. She's a trafficking survivor. She's a NLP, EQ certified life coach.
Okay.
Kiana, welcome.
Yeah.
Your last name is Monroe?
Monroe.
Wow, that's my manager's last name. That's crazy.
Really?
Yeah.
A lot of people ask me if my name is real. Like, was I born with that name or did I change it? I'm like, nah, this is it. Yeah.
So like when did things start to occur that led into the trafficking, if you will?
So for me, when I was young, I was 6 when I was raped. And my mom dropped me off. Like I said, being young, me being 6 years old, mom about 19 years old, wanting to do what 19-year-olds do, go out, have fun with her man. She left me with her boyfriend's brother. And so that's, I'm really big on being mindful. I tell parents all the time, be mindful who you drop your kids off and who you let babysit your kids. You know what I'm saying? And so from there, I dealt with incest in the family. My uncle, my Theo on my mom's side, for about two years. And it was very quiet, very swept under the rug. No one wanted to speak about it. That whole thing going around social media, we don't talk about Bruno shit. That's my mom's side of the family. And so it kind of created a mindset for me of not being heard, my voice kind of hushed, not being believed, because when I did tell my mother about what happened, overnight, she didn't believe me. She made it seem as though, I kind of made it up. That didn't happen to me. And I think in all honesty, I think she just didn't really want to deal with the guilt of the mistake she made by letting somebody else that she didn't know babysit her kid. The reality of it sometimes is too hard to swallow. So it's better to create a story or scenario that you can live with and that you can cope with. You know what I'm saying? And with the whole situation with my uncle, she actually believed that. Unfortunately, my grandmother, my abuela was like, don't talk about that. Don't tell anybody. She actually told me not to be so promiscuous, right? And to kind of cover up because when you're a kid, you wear like the little nightgowns and whatnot. So I did that, and it was just, there was no support there. So by the time I got into middle school, you know what I'm saying, I felt like I was mentally and emotionally shaped and prepared to kind of get into some shit. So I was looking for validation. I didn't know myself. I didn't love myself. I'm carrying all these secrets. As smart as I was, you know what I'm saying, I'm still a kid doing adult shit. You know what I'm saying? And it's inappropriate. I had no one to talk about it, no one to tell. So I went to
what age is this?
School, 12. So at 12, I'm at middle school, right? I got bullied in middle school real bad.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? And I had a homegirl there, and we both pretty much got bullied. And I remember, and they were in the gang, of course, right? And they ended up setting her hair on fire. Her mother was just like, "That's a wrap." You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a wrap.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, she was the closest friend to me. You know what I'm saying? She was Samoan, and they took her in the bathroom, set her hair on fire, beat her up. Her mother checked her out. I was like, "That's it, we out."
Wow.
So I was there on campus by myself. I was my only friend. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so I was like, damn, I'm about to get my ass kicked by myself. You know what I'm saying? Like, what you gonna do? And then on top of that, my uncles were in the gang. They was from Police Neighborhood Crip. You understand what
Okay.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
So for me, I'm just like, all right, I'm either gonna join because these same girls are from Crip neighborhood. So I'm either gonna be getting my ass kicked or I'm going to join. So I joined. I
So you
fought.
joined.
Probably the hardest, probably the hardest fight I've ever had. I could fight like 8 to 10 girls at the
Wow.
same time without falling. You cannot fall. You gotta hold
Sheesh.
your own. You gotta hold your ground. You know what I'm
So
saying?
if
I
you
like
fall, what
fighting, so I'm
happens?
used to fighting. Huh?
So if you fall, what happens? What's the rules to that, if you don't mind me asking?
I guess you get stomped out.
Mm.
It wasn't my experience.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, I was raised around a bunch of cousins who was,
Yeah.
older than me. So I could hold my own. And I didn't know what I would say going home after getting stomped out, what my
Mm.
uncles would say. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So even though I was involved in that, fought a lot, but I was still getting good grades, right? Because I didn't really want anybody knowing that I was doing what I was doing, right? My
Right.
mother would have
Yeah.
been pissed. My mom would
Right.
have been pissed.
Mm-hmm.
So here I am getting bullied, joined the game by the girls I'm being bullied by, fighting all the time. And
Mm-hmm.
I confide in one of the girls. You know what I'm saying? I told her all the shit I've been through, everything I went through with, family,
Right.
everything. And I
Mm-hmm.
felt like I created a bond with somebody who I could like tell my secrets to, right? This is
Mm-hmm.
why it's important to pick your friends and not be looking for people to pick you. Because you
Right.
fuck around and get you a fake friend, set you up. And that's exactly what she did. You know
Wow.
what I'm saying? The boy that she was dating was older in high school, of
Mm-hmm.
course,
Hmm.
right? That's considered a Romeo, or like I like to call him a charmer, like a Le Chamere,
So it's
right?
like a
Because they're
groomer.
16. Yeah, they're
Uh-huh.
16. They're non-threatening necessarily to a 12-year-old. Me, I'm 12. I'm just like, oh, an older boy. He's more
Mm.
mature. You know what I'm saying? It's her boyfriend, ditched school, right? And you know how, like, so we went over, he took us to, we went to McDonald's, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we went to somebody's house. You know how you walk into a situation and you could just read the room
Mm-hmm.
and you're like, this shit not about to be good for
You
me.
don't feel right. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, you could just feel it.
The
You could
energy's
just feel
off.
it. So I
Mm-hmm.
walk into the room, right? Walk into the living room. It's men everywhere and a couple of females too. They all
Mm.
grown. Ain't no kids in there. Everybody's grown. You understand what I'm saying? There's
Yeah.
meat on the glass table. There's Coke on the table. There's alcohol. You know what I'm saying? And like Colt
Oh, that's
45, Tennessee. You know what I'm
Wow.
that's
saying?
crazy.
Earthen dirt.
Wow.
Like all that stuff. Old school shit. Right? Hood shit.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, this about to be bad. Look back, her ass is walking out the other side of the door.
Damn.
She's walking back on the other side. Like I knew. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying?
Damn.
And yeah, my life was never the same after that. So from
Oh
Shh.
my
12,
God.
so from 12 to 15.
So
And
you
the
was
thing
12.
was, is
Hold
I
on. You
didn't.
was 12 when
12.
she brought you
Yeah,
in there?
yeah.
Damn.
That's crazy.
So here's the thing. You know what I'm saying? She felt like, well, she done already. I told her everything. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So for her, she's like, well, she done already been, dealing with this. Don't nobody believe her where she's at right now. Like I felt like I set myself up to fail with that, befriending somebody like her, not knowing,
You
she
didn't
had
know.
feelings
You
too.
didn't know any
I
better.
didn't
So
know anyway. She was
Yeah.
bullying my ass prior.
so
So
she basically told them that you probably will be somebody they won't even miss.
Right.
basically,
That's because that's where some of that comes from, Mo. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? I talked to
Yeah.
you about that, what happened with, my situation, but I can relate to what she's saying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And
Mm.
so I dealt with that from like 12, and then I got out like right before my 15th birthday.
Wow.
Yeah,
Damn.
Man. And
yeah,
that's all due through really no guidance in the beginning stages to show you the right
right.
path to go around, whatever. And it sounds like the streets really became the love and the father figure for you to
Hmm.
find your love,
Yeah,
whatever.
I told you a lot of people think like that because we
Yeah,
was
Yeah,
talking
we
about
was talking
that.
about that. Mm-hmm.
Sometimes your family on the street be more better than the family that you got at
That's
home.
a fact.
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And so you got to really pick your friends.
You
You
just
know
can't
what
get
I'm
that thought out of our head that you're like 12 years old and you're in a room with all those guys, how you described it. It's heartbreaking. Just hearing that whole situation, man. And then a lot of people, what we was just discussing, a lot of people who have family members and they know that they family members doing wild craziness and not even stepping up to the plate. How are you condoning this and you know that uncle's doing this and nephew done did X, Y, and Z? You just as guilty.
I think so
Like,
too.
I hate it with a
think so too.
passion.
I feel like a lot of times, people play lightly that, if you see something, say something, but I always say this. You know what I'm saying? Say something.
Say
It's your
yes.
niece, it's your cousin, it's your daughter. At the end of the day, kids are kids.
Mm-hmm.
Half of the time they might not say nothing because they've been paid off.
For the most part, depending on who they are.
Yeah.
But family keeps secrets. Families keep secrets.
Lots of them. So how do
Yeah.
we go about pinpointing these things? Like, say for instance, someone is being abused, or whatever the case may be. I want to talk from a child's perspective, young point, a child that could be getting abused, and we can't see the signs. You've been through it, but you can point out the signs. And then I want to talk about because we work in the nightlife, we're in the clubs, all this, that, and the third, and then we can see a grown woman that might be going through some things. What are the key things that we can point out or try to see?
When you're at a club, I mean, because you say you're at clubs all the time. One of the
Mm-hmm.
things that if you can pay attention to, who a girl comes in with. You know what I'm saying? She came with her friends and she ain't leaving with her friends. Like if you
Mm-hmm.
if you notice in that, if she like
Yeah.
really tipsy and look really drunk, stumbling a little bit, you know what I'm saying? But she leaving with some dudes, that's the type of stuff you want to pay attention to.
Mm-hmm.
A girl sitting at the bar by herself or whatever the case may be, she put her drink down and you notice another drink gets, swapped out or
Mm-hmm.
somebody put something in her drink. When you're at a club, you're not paying attention to your surroundings all the time. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Yeah.
And when you buzzed and when you drunk, you know what I'm saying, you're really not paying attention to
Mm-hmm.
any of that. So if you see that and you notice that, you may want to say something to the security, a little tip to the security, and just ask. Just ask.
Right.
It won't hurt to ask. It could very well be, somebody that she knows. But it's better to ask to confirm that's somebody she knows than to find out, nah, he don't know her.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? Find out where your friends at, who'd you come here with. And you can find out that she got drugged. You
Right.
understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And once they have you, they have you.
Damn.
Yo, that happens at the bar too. That happened to my baby mother. They put something in her drink.
Really?
Yeah, and it was the bartender. So, like you said, you're at the bar by yourself. When you said to swap out the drink,
Mm-hmm.
it was somebody else that gave the bartender some money, and the bartender put the shit in the drink.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
she started wilding and bugging, and I didn't know why. And later on, we found out they put something in her drink and stuff. But they thought she was by herself.
Did she know it was the bartender?
We found out it was the bartender because he did
Mm-hmm.
more than one girl.
Damn. Yeah, some people I know went through something similar to that, and they actually tried to follow the girl home, but she actually made it home safe, and her boyfriend came and kind of helped her out and caught her at the point of where before she went to losing her and blacked out. And it's wicked out here, man. You know, they throwing people in vans. It's like a lot of craziness going on. So that's why I wanted to chop it up with you, even though you know the Super Bowl is going on right now. So they say right now is the most highest point of sex trafficking.
Yeah.
How can we put out some type of SOS to avoid some of these things, like what to look out for?
Well, number one, if you're going in groups, leave with who you came with. Number one, put your drink down. Don't pick it back up. Especially when you're in a stadium, you set a cup down. You don't know who's behind you. You may not know who. If you don't know the people on the side of you, you understand what I'm saying? You don't know who's paying attention to you or not. When you have kids, depending on their age group, you want to send them to the concession stand. Don't send them to a concession stand by themselves. You know what I'm saying? Two or three. together. 3 is ideal. You know what I'm saying? 3 or more. Send them in a group. Or have them go with an adult. You know what I'm saying? If it's just 2, go with an adult. Don't go by yourself because you just don't know, unfortunately. Right? And then, like I said, be careful of your surroundings. There's clubs popping everywhere this weekend.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? There's stuff happening. People saying, oh, we have this suite. We have this, come over here and get tickets. We got extra tickets. If you don't have, whatever to the Super Bowl. No. No.
Damn. Yeah, it's crazy right now. Wow.
Yeah.
Carry a stun gun. You can carry a stun gun. They make them for
You can carry a stun gun here.
Yeah.
You can carry mace here.
Yeah.
It's not tactics.
And son, I always say a knife. I always tell like any female that I'm dating or dealing with, just in case I'm not around, I always tell them to carry a small knife, whatever. And when you stab them, twist it.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people be doped up, so a mace might not do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If they on that dog food, it's like how you gonna get them off?
The stun gonna do it.
You pay attention to your surroundings. You know what I'm saying? People be so on their phone that they're not paying attention that somebody's walking up towards them.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? They so glued to the phone. You in a situation like that, too many people are around. People are not cautious enough. They're not cautious enough because they feel like, well, that's not gonna happen to me.
Yeah.
It happens, but it ain't gonna happen to me. You know what I'm saying?
That's
really
it happens.
what it is. Exactly.
Until it happens.
Exactly. Exactly.
So a lot of people that come into it, they are actually groomed to be into sex trafficking, or how does it normally happen besides kidnapping?
What do you mean by groomed? Are you talking about the girl?
Because say for instance, you have young people, like they'll send a younger guy, I guess, to get cool with the female in certain cases, and they'll do the trade-off that way or something like that. That's what I hear.
Yeah. So for Romeo, you have them, they hang out around schools. And the thing is, it's a bit more suspicious for an adult to just be hanging around like a middle school or a high school versus someone that's of that age group. You understand what I'm saying? They can get on campus, I can talk to girls, they promise them things, I can buy you this, I can buy you that. We're in the age of social media, everybody's flashy. Young people have low self-esteem a lot of times, so they're looking for validation.
Those are the ones they're looking for. Those are the ones that they're looking for.
Right. You know what I'm saying? The ones who don't have, nobody's picking them up from school, they walk home. You understand what I'm saying? They pay attention to that. And a lot of times they watch you. They watch who you hanging out with. When you go to football games or basketball games or baseball games or whatever's going on, I like to tell parents all the time, make sure you send your kids to those type of games in groups. Make sure you're there to pick them up. Give them a place where they need to sit, here's your drop off, here's your pickup. Don't be going with nobody else. Who you going with? Where are you going? I'm going to meet the parents type stuff. I think a lot of times parents don't ask the questions that need to be asked when it comes to the kids. They feel like, well, I'm just going to give them freedom. Too much freedom.
Too much freedom. Yeah.
Too much freedom is not good because here's the thing. No one was checking for me. I was coming home at all times of the night, but because I was smart and a straight-A student, they were just like, oh, it's probably an after-school program. No big deal. You know what I'm saying? No big deal. They didn't pay attention to body language. As smart as I was, I had low self-esteem. So when people were just like, well, why didn't you say something? I was unbelieved plenty of times. What makes me think this was going to be something different? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Let me ask you something.
For my family, as long as I was getting, good grades and pulling in good grades so that I can go to college, that's all they cared about. My mental health, my emotional health, and things that were happening outside of the house, they weren't checking for that.
Let me ask you something. Something you said earlier, when you was talking about the incest and at home and whatever, and you mentioned an uncle, right? That's what you mentioned. Did that ever get checked? Did that ever, no?
Wow.
No.
Damn.
No. And the only reason why it stopped is because he went to prison. He didn't go to prison because of what I did. He went to prison on his third strike. That's why.
All right. So karma hit him then.
Karma, yeah.
The only why I asked you that because I could relate to that what you said because I had a family member that my mother's boyfriend kept messing around with, trying to mess around with, and she was young.
Mm-hmm.
And what, like you said, Mom Duke didn't want to believe me. You know, I brought it to the table and told her what was going on,
Mm-hmm.
and she wasn't trying to hear me. You know, she felt I was lying. She loved him that much that she wasn't trying to hear nothing. And
Mm-hmm.
that kind of broke the family up. So when you said that a while ago, I kind of related to that when you said that.
Yeah. Yeah. So the situation is that the men are protected. The men on my mother's side of the family
Mm-hmm.
are more
Okay.
protected. You know what I'm saying? He was the oldest, my grandmother's, firstborn. Do you know what I'm saying?
Uh huh.
She it was easier to just, sweep it under the rug.
Mm-hmm.
No, and
Okay.
nobody wanted to talk about it. Nobody. And it wasn't just that it didn't just happen, you know what I'm saying, to me, we didn't find out till later. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? That when he was like high and drunk and whatever he was on, he would mess around with his kids. So a lot of shit that happens
Damn.
on in the family dynamic, nobody wants to talk about it. It's either because of the embarrassment. Do you understand? But that's a cycle that has to break, unfortunately. Yeah, because
Mm.
at the end of the day, who fights for the kids? You know what I'm saying? Like if you told somebody some shit was going on and she didn't, at least it broke up the family. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because no one did anything about it.
Yeah.
Nothing happened to it. Did not tear my family apart whatsoever.
Mm.
I was in.
Whatsoever.
I was.
I'm
I,
the black sheep, to be honest.
oh man.
Damn.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm a youth director up in Yonkers. I'm in the community center now where I'm at, and
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times we deal with that with a lot of the females. You know what I'm saying? And it's crazy. Even do you have brothers and sisters, or is it just you?
No, I'm the oldest. I have a younger sister and I have a younger
Okay.
brother. Yeah.
Okay.
Did
But
they go through any of it?
No, no. By the time my mother had my sister, she was 27, 28. She
Mm-hmm.
was an adult. You know what I'm saying? And she learned from
okay.
her mistakes having me. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? And then
Mm-hmm.
she had my brother maybe like 5 years after that. So nothing.
Okay.
They don't have the experience I have.
Mm.
You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? My mother and my relationship with my mother, my view of my mother is completely different than the mother that my sister got and the mother that my brother got.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Hmm.
Wow. So how did you actually get out of it?
So a situation happened. Um, I remember getting home really, really, really late. And my grandmother, out of all times, she normally never checks for me, but I got home really late. I think it was like almost 1 o'clock in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
And I had come from a transaction, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was trying to sneak in and be quiet. I got caught. She asked me where I was, where have I been, the first time out of all the times. And I didn't really have an answer.
Mm-hmm.
So even though I'm thinking I'm too big to get my ass whooped, she wanted to, take a belt. And
Mm.
here's the thing, she thought that, you know, my ass was bleeding. She thought the belt, she whooped me too hard and she
Right.
thought she cut me. You know what I mean? So she was panicking a little bit.
Wow.
And come to find out it was a lot. So she called my grandmother, my other grandmother, my dad's mother, to come
Mm.
get
Yeah.
me. And they took me to the hospital, right? My grandmother was devastated. She thought she did that to me because it was so much. And then when my grandmother took me to the ER, the doctor told her she's been ripped.
Mm.
That's what happened.
Damn.
That's what happened. And then,
Damn.
Damn.
social services. And so I had to tell my grandmother what the hell was going on. My grandmother was just like, you need to talk. You need to talk now. So
Mm-hmm.
when I told her that and how long it's been going on and everything, she checked me out of the school, right? She cut pretty much all my hair off. We dyed it like a bleach blonde, and I was homeschooled. And I
Mm.
went to her house. I didn't go anywhere. I finished out high school basically homeschooled. I went to go live with her. I stayed inside with her. If I went somewhere, it was with her. But she basically kind of hid me until I graduated, and then I went to Spelman, and that was it.
So
Wow.
I'm so sorry you went through
Yeah.
that.
Super sorry. It's disgusting, man. Shit is.
Hmm.
It
Did
angers
you
me
did?
to hear something like that. I swear. Go ahead, Sue. My bad, man.
No, it's all right. It's all right. Did you ever have you ever thought about making a book?
I'm working on it
Mm-hmm.
now.
Working on it?
It took me a long time. It took me a long time because I felt like, number one, I was always scared that I would be found, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Even when I went to Atlanta, like I kept that fear because I was always threatened. If I said anything, if I did anything, if they couldn't find me, they knew where my family lived.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah.
understand what I'm saying? So I just stayed quiet. I stayed gone. Went to Spelman, was out in Atlanta for a long period of time. Me coming back, I felt like I don't want to be attached to any of the shit I went through. And I
Right.
didn't want to be
Okay.
defined. I didn't want to be defined by any of the shit I went through. So
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, let me go to school. You know what I'm saying? Let me go get my degrees. I became a sports journalist at ESPN. And I was just like, I'm protective of my image. I don't want anybody to know that I went through that. I
Yeah.
want
Oh,
to
I
be
got you.
seen as the work I did. You know what I'm saying? I just want to be seen as smart and successful. All my accomplishments, I worked for that. I don't
Right.
want anybody to think, oh, poor Kiana, or, pity me in any shape or form, to think, oh, damn, maybe we should. Nope. I didn't want anybody to know anything. I just
Mm.
wanted to
Okay.
completely change my life and live and kind of keep that behind me. And I
Right.
suppressed it. No therapy, no nothing. My therapy was work.
Mm-hmm.
It was work.
Mm-hmm.
Because I felt when I was young, I was just like, I'm in my mind at like 18, 17, 18, I'm just like, I felt damaged. I was like, who's going to mess with me? Who's going to talk to me? Who's going to take me seriously? You know what I mean? If I
Yeah.
tell them that this is
Yeah.
all the stuff that I went through, they're going to judge me based on my past experiences. So I just
Right.
suppressed all of that and I worked. And I wanted to prove that I'm more than what I went through.
Right.
So I
Right.
definitely didn't want to tell anybody about any of that. It wasn't until I decided to start the nonprofit that I have
Mm-hmm.
with girls.
Oh.
You know
Okay.
what I'm
Okay.
saying? And working with the girls, I noticed a lot of little versions of me.
Mm.
And I'm just thinking a lot of low self-esteem, looking to fit in,
Mm-hmm.
no self-validation, looking to be validated by other people.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And I'm like, yeah, this is a recipe for disaster.
Right. Right.
Um, and the interesting thing was when I did go speak to a lot of the girls, none of them took me seriously. They were
Mm-hmm.
just like, you don't know about like real life. You work for TV. You know what I mean? At
Mm-hmm.
that time,
Yeah.
I was working for NBC Universal IE,
Okay.
and they wanted to talk about journalism and working for film and working for television. And some of them felt like I couldn't really relate to them.
Right.
And I had to really sit down. It was like a real ass moment. I was just like, no, actually, you know what I'm saying? Let me talk to you for real, for real.
Mm-hmm.
I'm from so and so. I'm from South Central
Right.
LA. I went through, this, I did that, I experienced not everything, but I said I've experienced some shit. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? I'm not
Mm-hmm.
your mother, I'm not your teacher, I'm just Miss Kiana.
Mm-hmm.
And so I instead of you trying to figure out, how you can be like me, let's find out how to be like you.
Mm-hmm.
And when you leave this room, don't be looking to try to be like any of the girls on here. Be yourself and you pick your friends.
Right.
Because if you're looking for acceptance, you might be accepted by the wrong group and the wrong crowd, and that can get you into a lot of trouble. And I
Damn.
told them
Yep.
about my pain experiences and everything. So once they found out Miss Kiana from the hood too,
Yeah.
I'm saying, and she working TV,
Yeah.
it's a whole different level. It's a
They opened.
bond.
They opened up.
It's a
Yeah.
trust.
Yeah.
She's from the streets.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And she turned out to be, you know what I'm saying? Now they
Yeah.
talking.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're talking. This is what's
Right.
going on with me. This is what's going on at home. It was like a whole
Wow.
floodgate. So I had to start sharing my story in order to help
Yeah.
because a lot of these kids, they're not going to just talk to somebody that's talking at them. You have to be able
Right.
to talk to them.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
You understand what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? And so I left TV and I started the nonprofit working with foster care kids, group home kids,
Mm-hmm.
um, with a transitional home. I just started working with the correction center, and some kids, some at-risk youth kids. And then you have some kids that are straight A students, right? With low self-esteem, doing all kind of other shit. So they are a me. And
Right.
no one is really suspecting them to behave that way. When your self-esteem is shot, and now you got social media. You
Yep.
understand what I'm saying? They don't even know how to look for predators. They don't pay attention to fake profiles and things like that, meeting up with people because,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, that person said, well, meet me at so-and-so. They're not aware of that. It's going to have to take somebody who has actually been through it
Right.
to really talk to them and talk to them realistically. You understand what I'm saying? And
Can you give an example? I'm sorry to cut you off. Give an example of
yeah,
that, because today's technology, like you said, is so enhanced. We can't tell the new age pimp, and put it that way, I guess, whatever. But how can we
Yeah, that's a good way to
pinpoint
say
that?
it, Mo.
Yeah, how can we pinpoint that? You know what I mean? You know, when we came up, we knew you knew so and so, Johnny down the block. Yeah, Johnny do what he do. But how do we
right,
pinpoint that right now?
right. I had one girl ask me about a profile. She was, you know, she's been in my program for a while,
Mm-hmm.
and someone was trying to meet her and ask for her phone number and her address, and he would send her something, but it wasn't a him. It was an account, and it had maybe 3 followers, barely no posts,
Mm-hmm.
private account, and it had a picture of like a cartoon character, like an anime character of a girl.
Mm-hmm.
But there was no picture of him.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying? And this day and age, you can screenshot a picture of any kid and make it your profile
Right.
picture.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And I said, have you seen this person? Did they do a video chat with you? Did you talk to your parents about this person? You know what I'm saying? That's suspect right
Mm-hmm.
there. That is a big red flag. A private account, because it's a lot of people would think, oh, it's a bot, but it can also be a pedophile.
Right.
And if you don't say something or question it, you understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That's a situation that we were able to catch.
Wow.
And it wasn't an adult, it was a grown man. You know what I'm saying?
Like she said, some of those pages, when you look at a page and you see one picture and you don't see people who make Facebook pages put a bunch of stuff there. So like
Yeah.
she
Right.
said, sometimes those pages I'll be questioning them too. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It
You got a
might
Because
be
lot
it's
a
of.
art.
girl.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they use a woman to get you, like
Exactly.
trying to
Yeah.
have like a girlfriend or and like she said, it might be a guy.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I see a lot of pages like that with Bitcoin, and like they'll send a pretty girl or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
Like they
Mm-hmm.
Or it
doing.
could be a girl. It could be a
Yeah.
girl doing what she
Mm-hmm.
said. Or
Mm-hmm.
you that dropped
Mm-hmm.
her off in the house. It could be something like that.
Yo,
Mm-hmm.
that's crazy, bro.
You understand? And in this day and age, times are hard. Believe it or not, you know, some of the parents will say things. Somebody that they know, usually it's the closest people to these kids that get them caught up. People that they may know. It's not always strangers. Sometimes it's people that they know and they feel like they're supposed to be trusting. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? Do this for a favor. Do this because, you know, so we're going through such and such one
Mm-hmm.
time, blah, 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 all this other stuff. Or they can get with some younger boy that they like. And that's
Mm-hmm.
usually the hardest one.
Mm.
You understand what I'm saying? They like this boy, and this boy done got them caught up in all kind of stuff. And now they
Yeah.
scared to leave. Self-esteem is low. You know, they feel like
Yep.
they're in love.
That happens too.
Yeah. And then you have
They
all
they,
the
they
you
don't
have
they
all
don't
the
want to
drugs. Like
leave.
times are different now
Yeah.
with the technology.
Yeah. It's a lot of distractions
Yeah,
right now. Tons
it's a
of them.
lot.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot. But
Mm-hmm.
you have to pay attention
And
because
all of
like
these
something.
movies, not to cut you off, but in all of these movies, Mo and
Mm-hmm.
Kiana, they're
Yeah.
promoting like girl on girl all the time. You know, you'll see the movie, you
Yeah.
see girl on girl, and then guy on guy. They're promoting this stuff already.
Hmm.
You
Not
know?
just that too, but you know what I'm saying? Like stuff like taken, that's real. That's not
They're
fake.
taking. Ooh.
Mess
Yeah.
around and get
Oh,
and get taken somewhere where you don't come back.
yeah.
And it went from being out the country how they portrayed it, but it's right here, right in front of our face.
Yeah, it's hidden in plain sight. But here's the thing: a lot of people, you have people who are concerned and people who care, but you have to go against not only do the people who care and are
Mm-hmm.
concerned, you have to go against you know, the pedophiles, the predators, or whomever, you also have to go against the people that don't care. They don't care. They'll be like, okay, this is not relevant. This is not
Yeah.
important. Why does this
Yeah.
even matter? This is
Yeah.
not happening. You know, this happens over there.
But it
Let's
don't
talk
happen
about
here.
something else.
Right.
They don't care. So
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
you're going against people who don't care, and they're on the same side. They're not paying attention.
Right.
They're not going to say anything, and it could be happening right in front of them,
In
and they
front of
have
the
the
brother.
Yeah.
option to do something. They don't.
Mm-hmm. But
They
yeah,
don't. Nobody takes it seriously.
like what me and Superior was talking about earlier when you weren't on. Back in the day, it was more so hush hush, like you better not say nothing, like you say, or you get your ass whooped or whatever, the stuff that you went through. And I can recall like those days was very serious. Now you have more people that are more open minded. They're able to talk about a lot of things now. And at that time, a lot of kids that were on milk cartons were missing. Those kids now we come to learn today it was sex trafficked. Those kids.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That
And then you
was,
also have you have situations where kids know about CPS and child protective services and shit like that right now, right?
right.
So you'll get a predator to be like, if you say anything and you report it, you know what I'm saying? You go into foster care, your mom will get taken away because you're
Yeah.
young. You know, they scare kids in that way to like scare them into their silence as well.
Mm.
You know, with adult women, it's easier to just threaten their life.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
It's crazy.
Especially if they
And
have kids. They'll threaten their life, they'll threaten their kids' life. So once you in it, it's not easy to get out as
right.
an adult, but you can get out.
Well, I'm happy you got out. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? So that
Yes.
you're proof that it could happen. That's only why I said something about the book, because that could help somebody else. I
Right.
mean, it don't have to be you on it. It could just be, you know, it could get a character of a female or silhouette or whatever. But
Yeah.
that
I don't
would be
mind
great.
talking about it. Before I didn't want to say anything, but when I realized how many other kids have this story and they need to hear a survivor story. They need
Mm-hmm.
to. You know what I'm saying? And understand how realistic it is in the world. It's not a game. I don't mind talking about my story because someone can look at me and just pass judgment and say, oh, she don't look like she ain't been through nothing. You
Yeah.
understand what I'm saying? But just because you don't look like what you've been through, it's
Right.
not until I tell you.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, damn. So
I'm
it's
not.
best to not keep
Mm-hmm.
it a secret. It's not helping anybody to keep it to
Mm-hmm.
myself. So
Mm-hmm.
I,
I'm not in
wa-
hiding.
I applaud you for taking that role because it take a lot to say, yo, this happened to me. I know it do.
yeah.
I know it take a lot of courage, ego. You got to get all of that out the way and dig deep to be
Mm-hmm.
like, yo, yeah, I'm telling it. And this is how I go down and
Yeah.
look out for this and that. Man,
Mm-hmm.
I super applaud you for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank
And
you.
people need to see and hear more of it. I mean, and that's why we wanted to have you here. Like normally we interview unsung hero as far as DJs that don't get they just do in the industry, whatever the case may be. But you are an unsung hero that needs to be
Thank
on the
you.
plateau for real.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm willing
And
to
I
help
think
you
it's
out with the
time.
book. If you want, I'm willing. I got some connects with the book stuff. I can help you with that. So we're going to stay in touch with you. All right.
Okay.
All right.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Also, speaking engagements, you do speaking engagements, right?
I do. I do lots of speaking engagements. So I have an organization called the Pretty Me Foundation, and then I
Hmm.
work with adult clients as well. So NLP, I also got certified for neurolinguistic programming,
Okay.
Okay.
practitioner, and emotional intelligence. So I work with the city a lot of the times to help identify when girls are being trafficked or they'll bring them to me. I work with the Obama Foundation, the YWCA Human Trafficking Department, and it
Hmm.
happens globally. So I do a lot of work globally, right?
Okay.
And kind of work with them once they get out of it. You
Hmm.
know, the last time I went to a transitional home for all girls, they sent me a girl. She was 11 and she was trafficked. But they put her in juvenile home, right? And then they found out she was pregnant. So then they put her in the transition home. And then they gave her to me.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And my ability to relate to her, you know what I'm saying? I wasn't pregnant at 11 years old, but when I asked her what she wanted to do, she was just like, I just want to graduate middle school, and I don't think it's going to happen for me. You understand? Like her whole mindset is changed. So working with middle school kids and high school kids on top of, the organization, and then speaking to adults and speaking to other organizations, and that includes like 100 Black men, because boys need to be able to, if they see something, say something too.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? That's important as well, and how they treat one another and look out for one another is important, especially in our communities. You understand what I'm saying? So anytime you want me to come speak to some kids, you let me know. You let me know.
Because I think it would be good for them to hear somebody that's like far away, Mo. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Instead of just here. Like she's out there. That way they know this is going on everywhere, not just
Yeah, because I'm in North Carolina. He's in New York, but you've been around. You've been around the culture as far as the gang culture and everything, so you know top to bottom like how this whole thing happens.
Yeah. Summer camp go to. I partnered with Power Play New York, so I go to New York usually in the summer times for camp and work with the youth out there. And then Atlanta as well. We have a transition home in Atlanta. All girls.
Yo, I got an idea too, so I'm gonna talk to you off camera. I got an idea of something that might work, but I'm gonna talk to you about it. All right.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yes.
Thank you for having me.
You are more than welcome.
Unsung hero.
You are definitely an unsung hero, and you are more than welcome to come join us anytime. I don't care what you got going on. Anytime. If you got something you want to promote,
we telling you that right now. You're hearing it from both of us. Like say we doing something and we need a female's point of view, we'll call you.
Calling you.
And you can pop right on.
I'm gonna hold you to it. I'm gonna hold you to it.
Yeah.
I'm holding you to it.
We telling you this right now. You an unsung hero.
Yes,
we indeed. Giving you that. We giving you that.
She's the first female on the Unsung Hero show.
you the first female, so
yes.
Yeah, you're the first female.
I'm honored.
So we was talking about getting a female guest. So the time that you got that you can do it, we're gonna pull you into it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm here for it.
All right.
Yep, I'm here for it. Cool. All right.
We appreciate you. Have a great
I got to shout out the chat room because there's a lot of people in the chat room and they were saying stuff as we were talking. But big shout out to everybody in the chat room. And where can they follow you at?
Yes.
They can go to www.KeyonnaMonroe.com if they need any services or to check out the podcast that I do all the time. They can follow me at Keyonna Loves Me.
Okay.
Right.
Keyonna Loves Me. Okay.
At Keyonna, yep. It like I make people say it when they read the hymn.
Keyonna Loves Me. That's right. That's right.
Loves me.
So what podcast do you do?
The Life Matters Project. Loving yourself first.
Yes.
Life Matters.
Wow.
Exactly. Life Matters Project. And it's like a global community because we have, I work with a center in Dubai, right? I have a safe house that I started in Ghana for young girls and women who have survived domestic violence and sexual assault. Right. I have clients in Italy, in London, in Germany, kind of all over. So it's something that's happening globally. And when you lack self-love, like here's the thing, like if I loved myself, if I had value in myself, if that was poured into me at a younger age, I think a lot of shit would have been different. You understand? A lot of stuff would be different. And then you have like these young girls who don't get it.
Right.
Boys too, you understand what I'm saying? They don't get it. They grow up to become adults with voids, still looking for validation, but now they're just looking for validation in other ways. And so the best thing to do is to, get your healing, right? Go to counseling.
There's some older women too.
Yeah, they're older women.
There's older women that's caught up in it too.
Yes.
You know, look, I know a couple of them.
I know a lot of them, Sue.
Yeah.
Look, that's so a whole nother show too.
That got low self-esteem and don't make the best choices and decisions out of that. out of lack of
Mm-hmm.
self-love. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Out of lack of knowing who they are. It's not just working, not knowing their worth. So they tolerate things, they allow things. They don't have boundaries. They don't say no.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They accept a whole lot of shit that they know that they shouldn't, but they don't value themselves. You know what I'm
Themselves.
saying?
Yes. True.
So when
Mm-hmm.
you have that, my thing is I work with you to help you love you, and I love you along the way,
Mm-hmm.
every step of the way. And there's no judgment, there's no condemnation. It's a safe space. I talk about any and everything. I think my last show I was talking to Wesley Robinson from the Charlotte Hornets on
Mm-hmm.
mental health for athletes, which is important. A lot of them
Right.
have low self-esteem, and they're going through a lot,
But
and
but
they
what
don't they don't they don't process that. They don't say anything. They just perform.
But what you said was true. Like, even for men, not even just females, but for men, like even young men that's
Mhm.
coming up in the streets, whatever the case may be, you're kind of taught like rape culture in a sense. Because if you look at the mental aspect of it, most guys, older guys, be like, yeah, did you smash shorty? All right, you better smash
Mhm.
and go get this one and that one. So you're
Mhm.
programmed to do that and to act that way, like
Exactly.
this is correct. And meanwhile, that's not correct. That's not love at the end of the
Right.
day. And you're taught
Right.
this at a
Or
young
or
age.
she, or they
Hmm.
be saying like, "Oh, she let you smash. She let me smash too."
Right.
Like a
Exactly.
lot of that happens.
A lot of that
I
happens.
mean,
Yeah.
what's the song? It ain't no fun if the homie can't have none.
Right.
Right?
Hmm.
It's
Yeah.
this shit it's
Yeah.
this shit they listening to. I grew up listening to that. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? And it's still relevant. They still making songs and shit like that.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? But you have to teach kids. You have to teach them. They
Hmm.
have to value themselves. I can hear all of that, but that doesn't control my choices and my actions.
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
Hmm.
You see shit every day that's inappropriate. You
Every
see and
day.
hear shit all the time, but that
Yeah.
shouldn't define you. Do you
Hmm.
understand? You gotta have a moral ethic code. What do you
Yes.
value? What
Yes.
foundation? You got some principles that you stand on. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Of you know what? I may do a lot of shit, but I ain't doing that.
Right.
I may do a lot of shit, but I ain't doing that.
I,
Some
That's
people
that
get mad.
moral ethic code.
I feel like we
Some
lost
people
our
get
moral
mad at.
compass.
Some
We
people
lost
get
our
mad
moral
at me
compass.
because I don't rush into relationships. You know, I try to get to know the person because
Hmm.
sometimes it could be a
Mm-hmm.
damaged person.
Yeah.
You know,
Listen,
I feel like
I
we
had
so
that
all we all are.
conversation earlier this morning.
we all are
We
damaged in
all
a way.
damaged. Yes, we are. Indeed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but some women be really damaged,
Hmm.
and they be looking for like a papa or something. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm
I'm
you know
a
what I'm talking about?
challenge. I'm gonna challenge that. I'm gonna challenge you, and I'm
Hmm.
going to
Okay.
say I don't. I'm not going to say that the men and the women are damaged. I'm going to say that they are walking around hurt, and hurt people,
Hmm.
right? They done been traumatized.
Hmm.
They
Hmm.
done they have all kind of shit that they're going through. They've been through stuff,
Right.
so they hurting.
Yeah.
You got a
Yeah.
whole
Yeah.
bunch of people hurting. They ain't
Hmm.
processed
Yeah.
it. They ain't went to therapy. They ain't talked about it. They done been through hell and high water. You know what I'm saying? They
Hmm.
don't
Yeah.
know. They don't feel valuable
Yeah.
because they went through something. But just because you went through a whole bunch of shit, it doesn't mean that the experience that you have, though they may be negative, that does not define who you are. You define who you are and the choices that you make after that.
You
You know what I'm
could
saying? Your
become.
mindset that you have after that.
You
You
could become more
understand?
powerful in a sense if you know how to take that energy and
Exactly.
twist it and turn it.
Exactly. Hurt people hurt people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You hurt unprocessed feelings, trauma, all of that. What are you going to do? You're going to project that on somebody else. That's
Hmm.
all you know. If that's all you know, do you understand what I'm saying? Then, of course, the next relationship,
It's
you're
gonna
going to
be
show up as all you
that
know.
hurt. Yeah.
You don't have the capacity to love
Yeah.
anybody else.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? You're not capable. You don't even love you. You ain't fix your
Yeah.
mind and get your shit together. You
But I.
understand what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Hmm.
So all
Yeah.
you're gonna do is go in and hurt somebody else. And now she hurt or he hurt, and they're gonna take that to the next relationship
Keep
if they
passing
don't
it
heal
on.
from it.
Yeah.
It's a cycle.
It
It's a
is.
cycle. It's hurt.
It's a cycle.
For
It's a
me,
cycle.
for experience, I can speak for myself. Like it took me time to be alone for a while for a long while. I meditate every morning. I go in the grass in the backyard, shoes off, I hug the tree. I'm doing all the work, internal work, to the point where I'm pouring all the love in myself. And now when I'm having conversations with other people and they're telling me about their relationships, they're telling me about X, Y, and Z, and they're like, the man didn't love me how I needed to be loved. I said, the man didn't know how to love himself, so he couldn't love you. So already know half of the situations or relationships are not going to work because of that in itself. And then you have childhood traumas that's deep within that's still bothering you to this day. That's internal, but you didn't figure out and pinpoint it or accepted that happened or whatever the case may be to move forward. So
I agree, Mo. I ain't gonna say nothing else. I agree. Cause I just lost somebody because I waited too long, and I was like, all right, it's cool. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. Big shout out to him.
A lot of times, you know, you think that, oh well, you know, he's been through this. There's no amount of ass that's gonna fix a unhealed heart. Nothing, and they have to want to do it for themselves.
Yes. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They have to want to do it for themselves.
Right.
There's nothing that you can do.
Nothing.
And then on top of that, you have people who shun therapy. They shun going to counseling and things like that. And some people will notice that, yeah, that person ain't quite right, but they look good. That's why I always there's a little theme going around, and I say that the person that you sleep with, you know what I'm saying, the figure that you're looking at is not going to raise your kids. It's the mindset. It's going to raise your kids. You're sleeping with this dude, you know what I'm saying, that his mindset is what's going to raise your kids and be a father. Right. Not what he's packing or any of that. And just because he got it don't mean he's going to give it to you because you have baby. So it's the self-worth.
Same thing with the females. Big butt and a smile, that don't mean nothing if she got an empty head.
Hey.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. She don't have no self-worth.
Always try to tap in and try to figure out. I don't care about the materialistic, this, that, and that. I want to know what your soul is like.
Exactly.
So we're going to have to do this again. This is part 1. We're going to have to do part 2. Because I got another meeting to go to at 4:30. So big shout out to everybody. Big shout out to our guests. Well, she ain't a guest no more. Big shout out to the female.
Kids family, yo.
Kids family, man. It's over.
Indeed.
All right.
Key, I appreciate you. We appreciate you.
Likewise. Thank you for having me. Till next time. Till part 2.
All right, Ma.
Yes.
All right, guys.
All right.
m.reck TV.